Okay, guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I will be talking about my 356 days and counting in the carnivore diet. Now, the name of my channel here is Zero Carbs, Zero Sugar. So the only way I get there is by eating meat. Okay. Now, I know that some will say, yeah, in meat products, there is a little bit of carbs, okay, but very minute. I'm not eating bread. I'm not eating any kind of processed foods, sugary substance at all, any kind of snacks, no chips, not even any kind of plant products at all. Now, I do from time to time season my food, which may have peppers, salt, and maybe a few other things in there, maybe some vinegar, maybe some cayenne pepper, they're just things like that, but very minute. There's not a lot of it to overstimulate my system. And what I noticed a few times is over that period, if I ate something that I don't normally eat, like beef, chicken, fish, whatever it may be. Okay. I'm going to keep going around because there's so many things to talk about. And this is my story. Okay. So in this whole process, I don't know how I came about it. I got, maybe like you watching, I'm just so sick and tired of over and over and over. And I just jumped into the extreme. I did keto when my son was sick about 10 years ago. I stayed focused on that. I tried to get him into that. And just as we started into the keto, he took a turn for the worse. And even though he didn't make it, I continued with the keto for a short period of time and then just lost interest. And I bounced back and forth, regained the weight, like many things you do. There's so many things. I've been researching this for years and years and years, trying to find out what works for me. Now, zero sugar and zero carb won't work for everybody. You might have health issues. You might have certain issues with how much money you can spend. And I want to debunk that in my life too in this video. Debunk. Maybe that's Grand Funk. I don't know. But I talk about what I feel, and this is about me because I don't want to say something about anybody else's diet or what they like, but I just find it works for me. And one thing, the really big thing during this whole period of time is there's not a lot of mess with it. There's not a lot of, well, I got to get this substance and I got to get this substance and I got to, put all these together and hopefully it comes out right. Right now, it's basically, how I want it cooked, what time period how I want it to look, how would I want it to feel, how do I want it to taste, how high the temperature is cooking. And basically that's it. So I have one ingredient food. That's all I have, whether it's beef, whether it's chicken, and fish. I don't go really, I'd like to get involved in some other products, lamb to a certain extent. Now with me, I purchase all my beef from a local farmer, which is not really local, but I mean, within an hour. And then it goes directly to the butcher. There's no manufacturing, so to speak. There's not a high yield farm. I don't buy it from the grocery store. It comes, I know what it's eating. I know where it's been. I know the butcher does an excellent job, and the cost is effective. At the initial output of your money, it's quite a lot. It's like $1,600, and I buy a cow, which lasts me about 4 to 5, maybe 6 months with the hamburger, because there's so much hamburger or ground beef, I should say, that I can stretch that out. See, last year I bought one in February and it just put the last pound in the refrigerator to thaw out. So I purchased one back in August and I haven't finished none of that yet. Yeah, I'm getting low. I do have a lot of roasts, a lot of steaks left, but between eating fish and chicken, it goes a long way. So the chicken with the eggs, I produce my own chicken. I have a flock of Isa Browns, Silver Lake Wyandotte, White Leghorn, and Sapphire Skies. And these are a new flock. They're about 8 months old. So then now they're just, the eggs are small. Like the White Leghorns are a jumbo. They're a jumbo egg. They haven't got up to that big jumbo size yet, but they're a regular medium sized egg at this point. Probably in another 4 months, 3 months, they'll be producing, a large to extra large size egg, which is way more than what I need. I have, how many birds in there? There's probably 60, maybe 70 at the most. It's way more, but I just figured what a lot of times I over purchase the chicks because I know a lot of them won't make it past the time now. And another thing is I keep them for maybe 2.5 years, and then that's it. And then I start all over again because the production, just like a regular woman, as they get older, their egg, they cease to produce eggs at the quantity that you want. You might get one every 2 weeks, which is you're taking care of them more than what they're worth. But that's a food chain we live in. I mean, even if you take seeds and you plant it and you get a crop with it, you get the crop, but then you got to start with the seed again. And same with animals. I mean, you got the seed from the mother and the father, they plant it and they get, whatever it is, a calf or a lamb and then it just goes a cycle. It's a cycle of the earth, but basically that's where I get mine. So I have chickens with the eggs, them are the layers. And then I have every 8 to 12 weeks, I have meat birds. So I take a break. I still have a lot of meat birds. So between my son and I, we do about 70 meat birds, which last us, several months. I mean, it's quite a bit. So if I eat 2 to 3 chickens a week, which is 2 is probably the norm. I usually can get, by the time we butcher them, grow the next batch and process them, we have leftovers. So even if I ate one a day and a 35 that I get, obviously that's quite a bit. So 2, you get 2 months out of that. So that gives you the process time that your turnover rate is continual. So there's really not many left in the freezer. Oh, let's see. And also, but that is, I know what I'm putting in the chicken. I know I'm putting eggs. So between the beef and the chicken, and we're thinking about next spring is the raising lambs, which is a 4 to 6 months process, which is fine. So that'll give us another. So all the hopefully, I can't do it with fish unless I go out and catch my own fish, which I've thought about too. So between everything else, I know where all my meals are coming from. I know what from start to finish, what they are, where they're coming from, and that type of thing. So during this whole process, my body went through, I watched a lot of these videos and people said, I went carnivore for 7 days. Well, 7 days you can fast for 7 days. And all the research I've done, it takes years to get rid of, especially at my age. It takes years of garbage eating, all these things that you ate for your system to take that leap and actually turn over your whole system from what it's all that processed food, the garbage, I've been taking everything out of, I've been trying not to drink out of plastics. I've been using steel pans, cast iron steel, just trying to, I'm getting to the part of like, I watched my parents deteriorate in their last years, and I told myself, I don't want anybody taking care of me. I don't want anybody. I want to be totally self-sufficient in who I am. And I want to be whatever length the good Lord takes me home. Up to that point, I want to be able to be functional. I don't want to be squeaking when I get up. I don't want to be doing any of that. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. I started with that, and I really just turned everything off. No sugars, no carbs at all. And I did what a lot of videos I watched, they, eat whenever you want to eat, right? And I did that. If I got hungry, I would just eat more protein. It was so easy because filled me up, And then I went to, building my own electrolytes. I build it from scratch with calcium, potassium, salts. And I went through the whole salt thing. People said, oh, use Redmond. I'll use Celtic salt. Well, now I'm using another salt, and I'll put the link to that in the description, what salt I use, because I found out that Celtic salt and Redmond salt, they have heavy metals in it. And the reason why I found that out is I took this scan several months ago, and I had heavy metals in my body. I couldn't figure out, hey, I've taken all these plastics, I've taken all these chemicals out of my system. Why do I have heavy metals? So as soon as I cut the Celtic and the Redmond salt out and introduced the new salt, and I rescanned myself a couple weeks ago, no evidence of heavy metals in my system. So if you're doing them salts, you better look into it before you continue that. Table salt, no iodine salt, none of that. So I started supplementing with supplements. I do take supplements basically for men. I take omega-3s. I take, the boron and man, I could go through the list, but that's another video. And just recently, probably since August, we're in the 4th, 5th month, I started working out on a daily basis. I started working out heavily, an hour and a half, 2 hours every morning. I wake up. I usually hit the gym at 4 a.m. I'm done between 3:30 and 4 a.m. done at 5:30 every morning to get on with my day. And I push myself with resistant weights. And the reason why I do that is because the more research is coming out is that you lose muscle. It's more important for your body to have muscle as you age, even when you're young, any age. But more importantly, as you get older, is to build that muscle with resistance training. It's not about aerobics, which, let me tell you, you need some kind of cardiovascular exercise because that is a drain too. So I incorporated both of them. But basically, the heavy lifting of weights on a constant basis, I hit that gym 6-7 days religiously. And I do that just because I do not want anyone taking care of me. I want to build muscle. I want to make sure. I just listened to Rhonda. I can't think of the name of her podcast, but boy, she has definitely been a blessing in my life. I wish she's a doctor. I can't remember. I should find out and label that on another video, but research she's found out is that the people that fall and break their hip, their length of survival time diminishes drastically. And the way that you improve that is by muscle building. Okay. And you can do that at any age. At my age, I'm well over 60 and I'm doing fine with it. Okay. I wish I would have, I did in high school. I played all major sports and I did lift weights on and off through the years, but I wasn't focused. I wasn't big. Now it's a focus in my life because, like I say, I'm going to keep repeating it. I don't want anyone I want to make sure that I am so totally consumed with my own self and welfare that I don't have to burden someone else by my lack of responsibility through the years before I was older. So basically, I really didn't get into any kind of hunger through that time. I just ate. I lost weight. I'm down 60 pounds. I still need to lose more weight. And, that midsection where it's holding on, it doesn't look like I need to, but yeah, there's areas where I need to keep losing weight. And what I noticed is probably about 2.5 months ago, I wasn't losing any more weight. I stayed maybe up and down. So I would gain a couple pounds, lose a couple. I stayed in this plateau, and I was doing research. So I started keeping track of the amount of calories that I was consuming. And what had happened was I wasn't losing weight because the amount of calories was sustaining that amount of weight. So in order for me to lose weight, I either had to cut back on the calorie consumption or start increasing exercise to compensate for the amount of food I was eating. You follow what I mean? So that's what happens. What happens, a lot of people say, I lost weight, but I'm not losing any weight. Well, yeah, because the amount of food you're eating is staying kind of stagnant because that's where your body's leveling off at the weight. So either you have to keep your same amount of food that you're eating and stay the same, or you have to increase the amount of food. Excuse me, I shouldn't say that right. Decrease the amount of food that you're eating and increase the amount of calorie burning that you need to do. So if you need to say, hey, I want to keep this extra 500 calories a day, well, you're going to need to find something that burns 500 calories, whether it's some kind of sporting event or if it's activity, walking, running, swimming, whatever it may be, to burn them extra calories if you want to stay with the amount of food that you'd like to eat every day. So let's see. Another thing is I listened to so many videos, did my research about fat intake, and I noticed about maybe 6 weeks ago that I was every morning I would have a drink with butter in it. So I'd have coffee. I cut the coffee out. I cut the butter out. And that's the way I decrease my calorie intake. And I feel better because now I'm getting my fats through the food that I'm eating, because I learned that, hey, we got to increase all these fats because you need energy. And I started to find out with the amount of butter that I was eating that because I put butter on everything. I drink butter in my coffee. Then I would put it on all my food, cook with it, and I said, well, I don't need this amount of butter, so I can cook with butter, right? So I quit the coffee, quit the drinking butter, and I found that my energy level kicked up a little bit. I think maybe it was too much for my system to handle all that butter. So that is one of the things I learned. Second from the calories. And but I've always struggled with fatigue from day one. I always can remember. It's funny because my mother, she would put sugar on everything. It was cereal, whether it was blueberries and milk, it was sugar. And that whole fatigue thing, the headaches all through the years, I couldn't figure out. So I don't have an issue with headaches anymore. No brain fog. That's the first thing I noticed when I started a year ago, is that the brain fog just gone. Okay, it was gone. And I did, get rid of the depression, but it's come back in the last month or two. And this time of year, because I lost 2 children to cancer, this is the time that they both passed away, December and January. So that's heavy on me, that whole looking back, the regret thing. the depression that comes along with that. It's kind of haunting because, you know, in the fall, it's dark and gloomy and cold. So that doesn't help. So the brain fog, you know, some of the depression, the aches and pains, you know, just kind of getting up and down a little bit has gone. I can't really think I've added any other thing. I was having an issue with the prostate, 4 years ago. Just that inflammation, that pain has disappeared. I've taken supplements for that also. I don't look at that too much. I mean, that's pretty much gone. So basically, that's where I've fallen into. So I don't look at, every once in a while now that I have like, hey, I'd like to try, you know, a piece of fudge or whatever. But it doesn't call my name, you know what I mean? Like before. So generally when I get a craving or I feel, you know, like lightheaded or whatever, I say, oh, I must be hungry. I don't really have them pain hunger anymore. Like, you know, you used to go, oh, man, I'm starving. I just know that, hey, I'm hungry. I feel like I'm getting these stomach turning. I should eat something. But that's probably over a 12-hour period. Like I say, when I wake up at 5:30, by, you know, 4:30, 5 o'clock, I start getting hungry. You know, I mean, it's not overbearing anymore. I got to continually eat. Hey, it's, you know, it's 5, 6, it's noon, it's 5. I don't do any of that sitting down. I think, you know, with these holidays and birthdays and all these gatherings you have, you know, everybody sits down and they eat these plethora of different foods, and you don't, you know, you have, you know, one single item on your plate, whether it's beef, you might put some other meats on there, chicken or whatever, but you don't have potatoes and salads and snacks, all this. You don't have a plate full of food. It's just there. When you eat that protein, I'm fine. I'm good with it, you know? And like I say, that my supplement with my electrolytes, I drink between a half gallon and a gallon of water every day. And it's not that I just do it because it's habit. It's because I'm thirsty. So I can't stress enough that even if you didn't want to go full carnivore, it would be best cut sugar out. I wouldn't, anything that has sugar, I would get rid of it. I mean, it's the first time in history that man's been accessible to sugar. I mean, there's no way 100 years ago or in the past that people had the amount of sugar intake that we have. And that's, I think, is detrimental to your system. So I hope you guys found value in that. I'm continuing. I don't see any quitting. Before this, I was heavy gardener, right? So I did plant some stuff last year and it kind of sat there. I ended up giving it away. Just to keep busy in the garden. I do have strawberries and blackberries that I froze, that when they were fresh, that I'd have 1 or 2 a day, but the rest of them I just froze, and, you know, hopefully that I can, you know, give them to somebody, the family members later on, or if they're making a meal or whatever, we can use it for them. Okay. But I just like growing the stuff. It's a fun for me. It gets me out, gets me active. I like producing. People, you know, people going to eat that. So, you know, if I can provide that to them, that would be a blessing to me, but I don't eat it. So I hope you guys found value in this video. If you have any questions, don't feel free to call, message me or put it in the description or whatever, you know, but give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video.